Howdy. This is Grim with Grim Gaming. Let's go ahead and take a look real quick before I head to work. So we're talking about the Spirit Keep. One thing to do is, as you can see, I don't have it beat very far, just down to 15. Hang on, let me just see if I get any energy. Let's see here. Don't want to use that. No, let's see if I can do the same thing by looking at level 1. Alright, so if you go over to the boss guide real quick, like it shows what your skills do. So on this level here, it heals the champion by 20% of their max HP at the start of each turn. I believe where I'm at, it's more like 50%. I believe it's changed. But it also does a remove debuff from this champion and places a block debuffs on this champion for 2 turns. I believe it's on a 4-turn cooldown. It's either a 3 or 4-turn cooldown at the level I'm on. So there is time in between when this block debuffs goes off, and so it's not up all the time, but you know, you can't place your life steal when the block debuffs is on, and it'll walk you through how the fight works here. So you know, this here says it requires champions that can place heal reduction debuffs and remove buffs, which is pretty much what I was saying. Yeah, so the main thing is to get rid of the ads first, okay? As you know, as it says here, one stuns, one decreases accuracy. Decreasing the accuracy will make it to where you can't remove, like you can't place your stuff like your heal reduction and stuff like that even once the block debuffs is on. But this is the block debuffs thing. So if you go into your champion roster, you have this thing right here. It allows you to either filter by name. You can include Master Vault, include Reserve Vault. I do that all the time. So you will want to find somebody that does other effects, negatives, remove buffs, okay? And this will show you anything that takes buffs off of somebody. So you're going to go ahead and hide that. Go ahead and hit skills. So this here has a 50% chance of removing one random debuff. If you have him booked, it would be up to a 70% chance. This here also has a 50% chance. This goes up to a 75% chance booked. This has a chance of, increasing debuffs. This has a 40% chance of removing debuffs. This has a 25% chance of removing a random buff. This one here removes all buffs. Okay, so like if you have like Illuria, that actually and places a block debuffs. I don't know if the block debuffs or block buffs. Block buffs. There's a difference between block buffs and block debuffs, but this is a debuff that blocks buffs. So if you have somebody like Illuria that doesn't have a percent chance, that's going to be your best option. This goes up to a 100% chance to place the block buffs for 2 turns. But the main thing you're concerned about is the removing buffs first, okay? So you want to find somebody that does this if you have them. If not, you should have like a shaman, which, very low chance. You can book it up to 35% if you are able to. You do have some blues that can do the same thing, like this here. If you have a hurler, this actually also removes a buff and fills the turn meter, which is really nice because the more the turn meter fills, the faster you the more he gets to go again. But anyway, like I said, you need to find somebody that will remove buffs. Okay, and it can be a random buff or whatever, or all buffs. The Spirit Keep only does the one buff, which is that block debuffs one. So you want to get that. You will need accuracy that's commensurate with the level of the thing. So, like for, let's say, Spirit Keep 15, you're probably going to need at least 150 accuracy, probably more than that to hit 100% of the time, or not even 100% of the time, because I think there's a 3% chance that even if you had a 100% chance, it's kind of weird. But anyway, so you're gonna need to get the accuracy up on a champion that has a remove buffs. Okay. If the remove buffs is not on the A1, you're going to want to make sure that you don't use that skill before, like, on the waves. So bear that in mind as well. Once you have somebody that will remove buffs, okay, you'll also want to make sure that you know what their speed is, okay? Because you're also going to need to find somebody that places a debuff, okay? And this here will show you what the debuffs do, okay? So we're looking for these heal reductions, okay? This is a 50% heal reduction. This is a 100% heal reduction. So we're going to go ahead and select this, okay? Well, technically, we'll still at this first because if we get a 100% heal reduction, well, that's going to be great. So as you can tell, I have a few options here. There are some blues that are fairly easy to get. Like I said, so Ironclad, it was right here. Yeah, so it has a 25% chance of placing a 100% heal reduction. 25% chance could be booked up to 40%. Not a great one, but it is an option. Headsman, 30% could be booked up to 50. Again, not a great option. 35% could be booked up to a 45%. Again, you want something that actually places it. But if you don't have that, you do have the option of something like this here. So you have 4 times at random, and each hit has a particular chance. So this is obviously booked up to 35% chance, but it hits 4 times, so it has a much higher chance of landing because it's 35% chance per hit. So you have more chances. Anyway, so now the thing that you want to make sure, okay, is that your block buffs or your remove buffs champion is actually faster than your speed. Is faster than has a faster speed than your heal reduction champion. So, like right here, this heal reduction champion, they're at 178 speed. So the remove buffs champion has to be faster than that to go in order to remove the buff before Coldheart can place the heal reduction. Okay. Once you get to that point, then it'll be smooth. You may have your damage going faster than that. It doesn't matter. Like Kale, he's a bit faster, 192. Doesn't matter if he goes first, he'll deal damage as long as before the boss goes, you have a remove buffs that hits and then a heal reduction that hits. The other thing, like with Coldheart here, okay, on your A3, 3, you have decreasing the turn meter by 100%, and dealing massive damage. But this is part of turn meter control. So the boss cannot deal damage. The boss cannot heal itself. The boss cannot place a block buffs if they don't get a chance to go. Now, the flip side is if they place a buff on themselves at the start of the match, because like that buff gets put up at the start. That buff does not decrease, because usually, like, you place a buff, it's active for let's say 3 turns. When this champion takes a turn, it ticks down. And when it gets to once it's down to 1 and it takes another turn, it disappears. Okay. So if you are decreasing the turn meter, it'll never get to that point. Okay. Same with if you're relying on poisons, if you're relying on poisons or something like that, like HP burn, to deal damage, then you don't want to decrease the turn meter per se, because this is not going to tick unless the boss gets a turn. Okay, the poisons don't tick unless the boss gets a turn. So you don't really want to mix heavy poison with decreasing turn meter, because then the poisons just don't really do much, and you'd be better off dealing just heavy damage with somebody like Rathalos or whatever, and his passive. One thing to note with your passive, this video is specifically for somebody that I know, but you have to get your Rathalos ascended to 3 stars before his passive is active, and then he will deal more damage to targets under HP burns, take less damage from them, and then also every 5th skill does more damage. So you definitely want to get him ascended to 3 stars. Probably the next time that you have access to the Force Dungeon. That's very important for his damage. But anyway, like, he does mostly just straight damage. He doesn't do damage that's based on ticking, like poison. Okay, so if you are going to be using a strategy where you're doing turn meter control like this, you probably want somebody that deals straight damage. However, you don't want to do it on Spirit Keep, because Spirit is opposite. It's the bane of his existence. As you know, the triangle, Force beats magic, magic beats spirit, spirit beats force. Anyway, I hope all this made sense. Like I said, you can look for, again, like I said, other effects would be for your turn meter stuff. So negative effects, decreased turn meter. So you'll notice that there is a rare here, Armiger. He has on his A1, which is really nice, he's got a decrease the turn meter by 30% if the attack is critical. Okay. And he also has a block revive thing, so if he kills somebody, they can't be revived. But this skill has to be the one that kills them. And it's a fairly quick cooldown. He's green, so you can book him out real easy. But the main thing for him, this is good for Ice Golem. You can block the ads so they can't revive. It does not work on the spiderlings. I don't believe so. But one thing, if you don't have a cold heart, can build an armature fairly cheap. The only thing you have to do is you have to have 100% crit rate for this to work. So, and in fact, if you are just kind of, it's not the best thing, but like, because you'd still have to have wave clear and everything like that, but you could build multiple armatures. I call them armatures, like changing the I to a Y, like an army of them. And they can, continually hit and decrease the turn meter by 30%. You get enough of them, they can keep the boss from taking a turn. Again, that's not ideal. It's honestly just more troll, but like I said, you just want, and he's pretty slow, but you want your armature to be fast if you can, because the more he hits, the more he, and it's an A1, so it doesn't even really matter. Like, just you want him hitting, like you can even block, you can even like go into, if you're setting up a team, so so if you go into team setup, if you've ever done this, like don't look at mine because mine's terrible, but you can actually like go into here, and this will actually allow you to change, like, so like in this particular setup, I don't want him to use my disintegrate. Like this isn't a, the thing that I don't like is that the teams are not saved by location. So like these teams are not for this boss. These are for various different things. Okay. So like the only difference is they have PvE teams for like dungeons and stuff, and then they have PvP teams for the arena. So like I was saying, if you go in here, my cold hearts, I don't use Heartseeker on round 1 or 2 on any of them, but then I also don't use Art of Pain on round 3 because I don't really care about the poison debuff or anything like that. For this specific build is actually for Fire Knight, and this is an attack all enemies, but it's only one attack will hit one enemy. So like if you're attacking the boss, then it's only going to get hit once. This here is attack 4 times at random. If you're hitting the boss and there's nothing else up, it will hit 4 times. So with Fire Knight, when you go into Fire Knight and it has like 10 charges of its shield, that takes away 4 of them. Oops. Go back in here. Now the other thing to note, there was no pop-up there. Okay. So what that tells you is that you didn't have there's no check mark here, so you can like pull stuff out, whatever, that's fine. However, if you have this set, this will be the thing that it goes, and then if you try and pull something out, it says, oh wait, if you change the champions, it'll of a selected team, your team will no longer function as a saved team. Like, so it won't delete your team, but this particular thing won't be using all those AI things. So all the skill instructions will be ignored and skills will be used according to their default priority. So if you do that, then you'll notice that you come down here and it's not checked. Okay, so that's one thing to note. But you can set up a fair amount of teams. I don't know how many teams there are, like 15, 10, something like that, more than 10. But anyway, you can do that. Anyway, that's the main thing. So just bear in mind the order that you want to do stuff. Make sure you keep speeds consistent with, specifically for the Spirit Keep, your remove buffs first, heat reduction second, and then if you happen to have turn meter control, that's good. If not, then just nuke. But anyway, Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and y'all have a good day and be safe.